Hey everyone, Emily Jashinsky here. I'm actually on the outskirts of Black Lives Matter Plaza. The service is so bad. There's so many people here that it's actually hard to go live from the heart of the demonstration. But you can see that Biden supporters are converging on the plaza just north of the White House, just north of Lafayette Square. You can see it's a pretty young crowd. You can probably see the types of people who are walking in. A very young pro-Biden crowd. A lot of people sort of brought. Oh, nice. A lot of people sort of brought brunch to BLM Plaza, and I really mean that. I'm seeing a lot of people walk around, a lot of young people, millennials walk around with White Claws and popping champagne. I saw somebody actually with a very expensive bottle of champagne. Cheers, there's drumming, there's pots and pans. It's one of the biggest crowds that I have ever seen outside BLM Plaza this whole year, and there have been a lot of big crowds. This is certainly one of the biggest. Lots of masks. And like I said, just a lot of young people. I'm going to keep trying to show you the crowd. They're chanting Kamala. Actually, one chant that I've heard several times since being down here is "Thank you, Stacey," as in "Thank you, Stacey Abrams." I do see a lot of Kamala signs here. Actually, the crowd is so big that there are a couple blocks north of 16th Street closed to traffic right now. A lot of cheering, a lot of chanting. I just got a nice whiff of pot smoke. You can see. I literally saw one girl skipping. That's how happy these demonstrators are. I heard one person say, you know, how nice it is that the call was projected by a lot of these outlets on a Saturday. And it is a hot November Saturday in DC. It feels like summer. It's probably around 70 degrees. I think the sense, oh, we can see some shade here. It's clearly a very DC crowd. It seems like a lot of the young people that live in the city came down here this morning. It's really loud. It's a really loud crowd. Yeah. And a lot of people still coming down. I think that's probably the most remarkable thing is there's still people flooding down, flooding south towards the White House. I'm going to try my best to get you a closer look at what's happening on 16th Street itself. The connection may get bad, but I am going to give that a try right now. You can see the crowd's about to get a lot thicker, a lot denser as I get towards 16th Street here. All right, everyone, we're back. I just had to really fight through a big crowd to get somewhere where there's actually enough service to stream. I have never seen a crowd like this in this area at the White House. They have traffic, they have blocks closed to traffic in either direction. Now, I'm going to show you what's happening coming down 16th Street right now. Very far north of the White House. It's a wave of people. Normally, when there's been a protest this year, the crowds sort of start to taper off, a couple blocks south of where I am right now. But actually, traffic is closed all the way up where I am right now and continuing north. It's really something. It seems like it's very much a DC crowd, as I said earlier. These are very much like DC residents. And it's a very social event. I see people meeting up, like I said earlier, drinking, um, bringing food down. It's one of those days, ridiculously hot in November. It's got to be around 70 degrees out here. A lot of young people. It's a very young crowd, a very young crowd. DC is a young city, and that's certainly reflected in the crowd here. I've covered a lot of these protests outside the White House over the past year. I have not seen a crowd like what I'm seeing right now looking north. I don't mean to continue repeating myself, but this is really pretty surprising. I think the weather's helping quite a bit. They were chanting "Thank you, Stacey" to Stacey Abrams. Here you can see behind me. It's just one of the densest crowds I've seen in DC. A lot of people, a lot of young people. It's a lot of chanting, a lot of drums, a lot of champagne. Um, I've seen people with some really expensive bottles of champagne, which is just a classic sort of like I was saying, President Trump, if you love him or hate him, you got to admit he's somebody who's really electrified the working class. And what we're seeing right now is DC millennials popping expensive bottles of champagne. Not just millennials, I shouldn't just tar my own generation. But what we're seeing is DC residents descending on the White House to pop champagne and celebrate Trump's projected loss in the presidential election. Um, it's quite a sight to behold. A few blocks north now, sort of looking down 16th Street. Looks like we've got a cowbell here. A lot of masks. A lot of masks. Here, let me turn the camera around for you. Notice people are standing literally in the middle of the street, and I am blocks north of the White House at this point. We've got a helicopter going overhead. Here. Yeah, right down the middle of the street. There's no traffic on 16th Street. I'm all the way now up at 16th and M Street. It's a lot of road to close to traffic, but it's certainly justified by the sheer volume of people descending on Black Lives Matter Plaza today.
Sorry.
Everything's been peaceful so far, no violence. I haven't seen any fights. I saw literally no Trump supporters. I actually saw one guy talking to a journalist who joked, "I voted for Trump," and as though that would, be a hilarious thing because this crowd is um, so dense and it's so, it's all Biden supporters. And that's not that hard to do in DC. The entire city, for the most part, supports Democrats. So in a heavily Democratic city with a heavily political population, of course. Oh, looks like some guy's trying to get through with his car. Her car, I should say. Yeah, I mean, it's a problem if you parked here earlier and you're trying to get out. I don't think they anticipated this level of a crowd. Um, yeah, we're at 16th and M right now, and the police have it closed. There's still a wall of people moving south. Again, not that hard to mobilize a huge crowd, a huge anti-Trump crowd in Washington, D.C., heavily political city, heavily anti-Trump city. So it's not as though it's a particularly difficult thing to do. I will say, however, this is the biggest crowd that I've seen all year in my time covering White House protests. I have some pictures and video I'm going to post to the Federalist, to our various social media channels, so you can stay tuned to our social media channels for more coverage this weekend.